The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome, everybody, to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. Once more, do we go into the breach, my friends?
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And it's options expiration on a quad witching day. And I've been waiting for some fairly decent action today. Everything's set up correctly. From the pop earlier in the day to the kind of fade out here. For what we used to have all the time, which was a incredibly exciting last 45 to 30 minutes of the trading day. We've got the NASDAQ back in the red. The Dow's up 96 as we speak, just 5 points higher on the S&P 500. There isn't a lot of juice so far, but options are set up. In fact, the option market makers yesterday went way wide. So those guys were thinking that the market could literally do anything today. It hasn't gone higher, and I didn't think that was any kind of juice to go much higher. So we'll see on that. But it's getting pretty close here to do or die times. Of course, options expire at 4 o'clock. And, of course, futures on options expire at 9:35. As soon or 5 minutes after all the S&P 500 stocks open. So we saw that this morning. That's generally one bias. Then you've got the bias for the actual options at the end of the day, and that's why you tend to have a fairly interesting trading day. It is not uncommon to see the push, or at least a bullish push, into around 12:30, and then all the what am I trying to say? All the premium is taken out, and they hold the stocks up and try to get people to sell out early. And then you get that last 30-minute movement where there's a bunch of money that can be made out of the money, puts going into the money if you get a big enough movement. Anyway, I haven't played a lot of last-minute options, and kind of the ones that I had earlier in the week kind of turned into that. It looks like I'm going to have one loss on one draw, and one where I think I'm going to get about, I've got 50-cent options, and I think I'm going to get $2 to $2.50 out of them at the end of the day. So on balance, a up week on a market that I was looking for maybe 100 points down. We still have the end of the day here, so I'll keep my fingers crossed. But was looking for at least 50 points, but was hoping to hit a home run if we got down to 2,700. We'll see what the end of the day brings. But every condition that used to be in place before QE is in place today for these last-minute huge runs in the market. And even some of the market makers, or in fact, most of the market makers yesterday, went real wide on the opportunity that something big was going to happen. Maybe that was the housing starts this morning that highly disappointed. That kind of boosted the market for a little while, as many people thought that maybe this means one less rate hike this year. But I think that kind of faded throughout the day. And, of course, Monday and Tuesday, we get into options rollover. That's when a lot of these hedges come on and come off. And then, of course, the FOMC meeting comes in on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So I suspect that we'll kind of have some choppy markets, probably going sideways for a couple of days. And then we'll be looking for that real movement. That probably late part of Wednesday, probably the last 15, 30 minutes is going to tell us how the market's truly going to react to the new FOMC chief and head bottle washer. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648, and that would be it. Okay, we got to quit it. EDP. Okay, we'll look at that. Got a few other things. I don't know. Why don't we just start off with a little bit of history as we watch what's happening in these markets. As I said, if I have to leave quite suddenly for a second or seem distracted, it means that I'm probably trying to cash in on some options that are way in the money now that started out of the money. And that means money, money, money. Okay, so what do we have? We have history.
Then it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day, space travel really starts. It's 1926. And I think this was on the East Coast. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in Massachusetts. Robert Goddard, who successfully launches the world's first liquid-fueled rocket, in Auburn, Massachusetts, on March 16th, 1926. The rocket traveled for 2.5 seconds at a speed about 60 miles an hour, reaching an altitude of 41 feet and landing 184 feet away. The rocket was 10 feet tall, constructed out of thin pipes, and was fueled by liquid oxygen and gasoline. Now, of course, they found out that liquid oxygen and kerosene works much better. But what was the major flaw in this rocket? If you go back and look at it, it's a lot of what people that have never been in rocketry or space travel think, and that is, well, if it's so tough to make the rocket do what you want it to do by putting the motor down at the bottom of it, which is kind of like putting a stick on your hand and trying to balance it. Let's say you got like a dowel rod or something that's 2 feet long, and it's, you see these people balancing plates on these dowel rods and spinning plates and stuff. But really a rocket is that. You're taking a big long rod and you're holding your hand under it and you're trying to move your hand so that thing stays straight up and down and you're moving things around. That's actually how a rocket works with the motors on it. But if you didn't know anything, 1926, you thought, well, the easiest thing to do is just put the exhaust jets on the top of the rocket and the rest of the rocket's just going to hang below it. Well, that doesn't work. That's called the pendulum model for rocketry. And they kind of burned up a bunch of rockets for a handful of years. And finally figured out that, you know what? We can make the rocket spin. I'll give it a little bit of stability, kind of like a football. But guess what? To make rockets work, you actually have to get that nozzle at the bottom of the rocket to move, just like your hand has to move to keep that dowel rod perfectly up and down as you balance it in your hand. And first guy really started rocket flights. I think he got some up to 100,000 feet before he died. And of course, everybody looked at it, thought it was interesting, and did nothing with it until the Germans in World War II with the V2s. They'd seen all this stuff. They'd seen Goddard's work and went to work on it a bunch. We'll be back in a minute.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger Team TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Okay, we got a bunch of stuff going on here. We'll get to all of it. Question about who made the gyroscope. I don't know who invented the gyroscope. I know who made it work. That was Wernher von Braun. And that's how you balance a rocket. He came up with two big things. He figured out that you had to run the fuel through the exhaust bell to keep it cool enough to not melt, and how to use the gyroscope to point the rocket in the direction you want it to go. Those, I think, were the two big things that they figured out. There were a lot of other engineering things, but those were the two major hurdles to sending V2s into England. So what do we have? We're up 4 points on the S&P cash. Of course, we went up pretty much to resistance levels yesterday and rotated lower. As I said earlier in the day, this is all starting to smell a great deal like a 330 run on the market that we've had for years. It kind of went away, and I think a lot of that had to do with QE and a implied put in the market as interest rates go higher and that bond money comes out. That implied put is over, and we'll probably see more kind of action like this into triple. And as one of our listeners gently pointed out, what is really today, and that is quad witching. What can you say? Seeing some very interesting action, and then we'll get into some of the other charts. The dollar certainly has bounced up in this $90 range, 90.19 the last I'm looking at here at the dollar index. I continue to think this thing is set up to where it's going to go bounce off of 92. And maybe that's the higher interest rates. I suspect that Powell's first FOMC meeting will come out maybe slightly hawkish. And I think that everybody's maybe overpriced in overly dovish, but I don't think that's in there. Of course, crude's a little higher, which is kind of interesting because the Baker Hughes rig count came up 6 to 990 for the rigs for the month. You can always Google this, but I find it probably more interesting as to people in the industry think that they can put a rig up and that the price is going to support that rig for a while. tells us that eventually these guys are going to have enough rigs that prices come down. Of course, the best solution to a low price is a low price. The best solution to a high price is a high price in commodities, and this is set up anyway. Up fairly significantly over last year, up significantly over the last couple of weeks that have been kind of flat. For the rig count, doesn't instantly do anything. And of course, with gold down on a Friday, where do people go to hide their cash for the weekend? And that is in either crude or gold. But if you've got gold down, which it is $4, people kind of go to oil. If gold was up, you'd see people pushing more into gold and to park their cash in case anything happened over the weekend. Copper, interestingly, down about 2 cents at $3.10, almost $3.11. But that's kind of it for the commodities that's interesting. To me, it's that TLT, which we'll get into a minute, going above 120, coming back in. That is most interesting. I'll be on with Tom O'Brien at 3:30, so we'll be talking more about technology. So look forward to that. I had a few things in the den, if I can go back and find it here. Someone wanted me to look at something. What was it up here? EDP. So we'll look at that first. You can always send me, well, what is EDP? Well, I don't have it. I don't know what EDP is. EDP, Interglass de Portugal, EPD. Dyslexia cure for found. Okay. Well, you got kind of an interesting Enterprise Products Limited. So this is a limited partnership, which I hate to begin with. It had a nice Gartley pattern out here. So you had a spike out here in the lows. Actually doesn't look too bad other than the super high spike from yesterday, which was probably some kind of selling climax. But at the same time, if you bounce, you're going to want to see this thing retest 2310. So I don't see anything actually that changes much out here. Again, anytime I see an LP behind something or an ETN or any of those things, always a giant red flag for me. Enterprise Products provides midstream energy services to producers and consumers of natural gas liquids, crude oil, petrochemicals, and refined products. I don't see anything that sets a low in this, and those rig counts only make me think that the limit for higher prices in crude continues to come down, not go higher. Again, that we're up a couple percent on a Friday for crude, not a big deal to me, especially when gold's down, because it's just a lot of thought is that we're going to go park our cash on Friday. Crude to me, Tuesday and Wednesday, probably a lot more interesting, especially when we start looking at those EIA numbers and the EIO. Okay, EIA numbers on Wednesday at 10:30, and of course the API numbers at 4:30 on Tuesday. Kind of tell you a lot more about supply and demand. Right now, I think a lot of people are making implications on the cost of actual gasoline, and of course the changeover for winter and summer formulations are all about the energy complex right now. So I wouldn't put a lot into numbers probably for the next couple of weeks for gasoline. It's really about crude and how those crude draws move, but not uncommon to see crude start to build as the refineries are shut down for a few weeks for both maintenance and changing those formulations. Always tends to skew these numbers for a while and makes me tend to think that it's a good time to stay back and out of these until they sort out, and that the permutation kind of gets wound out of these from the winter to summer and summer to winter formulations for gas. And okay, what else do we have here? We got that. That's okay. Any thoughts on Spotify IPO coming out April 3rd? Well, we just had, what was it? iHeartRadio file for bankruptcy. Looks to me like Apple is going to scrap iTunes and come up with another name for their music product. It used to be the best way to lose half your money was to buy an airline. I think it's to go into streaming music now. I don't understand how anybody thinks they're going to make money in it, but who knows? We'll be back in a minute.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And we're going to look at Tiffany's here as a special request.
And I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany's? She said, I think I remember the film and as I recall.
Yeah, Deep Blue, one of the one-hit wonders. Love that song, though. Very interesting. Well, the market didn't like Tiffany's report. Down on, what is this? Up on December 14th, 2.4 million share pop. Back down today with, 2-3 times as much volume 6.5 million shares compared to the pop-up on 2.4 million shares. So down on a lot of volume. Again, great deal going on. Just look, everything out here looks incredibly toppy, so I'm not very bullish on the market. Again, I think maybe we get some action here in the last 30 minutes of the day, so I'm going to be sitting kind of my hands on that. Well, be it. We talked about the TLT. Take that real quick. Strangely quiet. Oh, yeah, breakfast at Tiffany's, deep blue. TLT, as I said, I was looking for this thing to go back and at least test, if not break, the 116 lows, 115 lows that have been around here. Didn't have a lot of juice as we went up into 120.49. It's now started to come down. Light volume today, but kind of not that exciting a volume at all. But my guess is that we are going to test this 116 low. Seeing the dollar back up about 90 and holding it into the weekend also makes me suspect that we're going to go to 92 on that, and we're going to see the TLT and bonds come back. A lot more talk again about bonds and the flattening yield curve. We'll see if that develops any more, but at least people that are in that market continue to squawk about it on TV. And we'll see if that actually continues down that road. What else do we have? Of course, the big news today in the hottest sector in the market is a new company, or at least new public company called Zscaler. Symbol on this one is ZS is the symbol on it. I wonder if it's on the data system already. I didn't think so. It's just out this morning. It's at 28.75. These guys are like a rest of these guys, but a good open today, up 80% over its IPO price. You might want to check that out. I'm writing about it in the Tech Insider today, which you can always go to the front page of TFNN and check out. But got very interesting plays in that sector. So let's start looking around. Questions about Amazon. I don't see a lot happening in this one before the end of the day, but 1575 kind of looks like where this thing wants to expire. See how close to the end of the day it goes like that. Apple really looks to me, from looking at the option, this thing wants to go to 177.50. And has kind of been hovering around this area all day. Get back to here. Okay. Need to get to that. Okay, where's it at here? Down at the bottom or up at the top? Okay, we're at 178.33. Apple doesn't need to move much to move the rest of the market. 178.33, I suspect you got a high probability of this hitting 177.50. If you go back and look at Apple on options expiration days, how many times this thing has come within 15 or 20 cents of a strike price during options? Apple may have more options action one day than the actual SPYs, but a lot of money bet on Apple, and they always try to get this thing to pretty much burn off as much money as they can by doing it. Another one that hits options expiration fairly well is IBM. This thing spiked up. We'll see how close this one gets to 160, which looks like where they've been trying to. Oh, it's 160.36. Got to what was the high today? 161.98. And this is where you, if you're wanting to play last minute options and can get the right strike price, Apple, the play for Apple today would be probably buying the 180 puts and speculating that it went to 177.50. And, you know, the same thing with IBM, maybe buying the 162.50 puts and betting it goes to 160. Those are the kind of moves where you can make some fairly decent money and have fairly decent risk control throughout the day. And of course, you know you're getting out of that option by the end of the day. So counter trading it with the equity all day long is also another option. Well, I wouldn't say option. Another way to trade that, i.e. get the put on the thing and trade the other side of that all day long and have a fairly inexpensive way of playing a stock the entire day and having your risk limited, because you always have that option on the other side of your trade. I got taught how to trade options by a wise man that spent many years in the pits, and he always told me this same two things. That is, options are to reduce risk, not take much more on. And he said, hey, while you got the option out there, if you're going to day trade it against it, especially when you last few days of the month where these options are almost free. And if you've got some movement in the markets, one of the best ways to be able to limit your risk and play the equity on the other side of those options all the way into expiration at the end of the day. But just a couple of thoughts there. Had some questions to earlier too. Let's get to this. And that was about my power law vector indicator. I don't talk about it enough. We talked about it this week on how many of the stocks actually were setting up earlier this week with very light volume moves on this right-hand part of the chart. I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it AMAT? No. I think it was Bank of America that we were talking about. Okay. Let's get this down a little bit. And this is a good example of it. The power law vector indicator number I set up was a way to look at the meaty center. That is the volume, not the volume at the high, not the volume at the low, but how much energy actually came in between the two. The power law vector indicator number is a kind of a logarithmic number that I put together to show that. And if you want to think about it this way, as all these days that the market goes up and all the days that the market goes down, if you thought about it like paying like electricity, if you go and use a hairdryer, electricity probably not that expensive. You put a big air conditioner down here in Florida in the summer, and got to use a lot. So by using the price movement and the volume in that movement, I've come up with a way kind of quantifying those. And that is the power law vector indicator. Talk more about this when we come back.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get them, folks. Would you like exposure to the foreign currency markets without any downside risk to your principal? Then consider the Petro Currencies Market Safe CD from Everbank. This 3-year U.S. dollar-denominated CD leverages the performance of 4 equally weighted currencies from these top oil-producing countries: Brazil, Canada, Mexico, and Russia. This CD features a 200% leverage factor, which means that your potential upside payment will be double the currency's average performance at maturity with no cap if the currencies increase in value over the CD's term. And if the returns are negative, your principal's 100% protected. Returns are based on CD performance with no correlation to the price of oil, and there is no annual percentage yield or periodic rate of interest on this index CD. The April 19th funding deadline will be here before you know it. So call 1-855-750-4051 or visit everbank.com/TFNN for the CD's term sheet and other important product details and disclosures. This advertisement is sponsored content. Everbank is a division of TIAA FSB, member FDIC.
The TAS Profile Scanner Plus, developed by John Logan and his team, is a standalone piece of software that can change the way you trade. Let the TAS Profile Scanner work for you by scanning over 5,000 financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. Right now, you can get a 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner Plus right at TFNN.com. And when you sign up, you gain instant access to John Logan's most recent webinar, How Price, Volume, and Time Make Market Profiles So Unique. This hour-long webinar with John Logan will walk you through the most powerful features of the scanner and how you can use it to become a more successful and profitable trader. You pay absolutely nothing for 30 days while you try out this software risk-free. For more information on the TAS Profile Scanner and to get your 30-day free trial today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And had a little question about about options expiration for new traders. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the history, at least my history with it. And that is, as a new trader, basically traded equities for 3 or 4 years, got to be around 2002, and really got into looking at options, especially at expiration. One of the reasons was, one, I saw it, but also Tom O'Brien talked a great deal about it, and that was trading OEX options. Because we had so much action on Fridays that you could go in and, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you could buy an out-of-the-money call and an out-of-the-money put, and one of them would go up 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times. You'd buy it for a quarter and sell it for $1.50. Was one of the more interesting ways to make money. If you're good, you could just, play one side of it. But, literally you had so much action that you could buy both sides of it and do fairly well. They corrected that, of course. Market does not like giving money away. And I kind of refined my work on options expiration for equities. And that ended up being my Christmas of 2004 article on looking at options expiration curves and playing them. I saw a lot more weakness than we actually got, so the market a little stronger than I thought. I thought we had the ability to go down to 2,700 this week, and we'll see what the end of the day brings. But still don't see a lot of push for higher prices, although we're up 6 points. There isn't a lot of juice, and we didn't even have a lot of juice really yesterday either. And the NASDAQ's just hovering, I feel like Foster Brooks, hovering around 2 points higher, 6 points higher on the S&P cash and 100 points higher on the Dow. Russell's up 6 points, but not much going on about that. So got another question. Again, you can always call me at 877-927-6648. And Ron wants to have me take a look at the IBB. Again, a lot of these stocks are just, this kind of looks like gold, same kind of thing, where you got these things not moving a great deal. You did have a fairly nice push back up to 115. And it didn't even get up to the gap down, which was at about 117. This thing started pulling back, but volume's fairly light. So this thing probably going to sit around here, and eventually there's going to be a spark, and this is either going to break higher or lower, and I will probably fade whatever direction it breaks out of. But to me, this just looks like a big triangle with lower highs and higher lows. And eventually these things just trade in more narrow ranges, and eventually they break out. And the idea is not to sit there and wait for these things and bet which way they're going to go, but wait for them to go one direction. And generally, if there isn't a lot of juice and it looks like a head fake, it probably is about 80% of the time. I suspect nothing less than the IBB doing the exact same. Question about looking at Microsoft out here today. Let's take a quick look at that. MSFT to 94.15. Microsoft doesn't seem to hit the expiration as much as other stocks. I'm not exactly sure why. 94.17. I think eventually this thing's going to 100, but it may be one of the few stocks out here that breaks the mold. I've written about some of the new things that Microsoft is actually working on. In fact, last week I did in the Tech Insider. So they've got a few more tricks up their sleeve for the long term. But in a market and in markets and conditions in markets that could go sideways for a while as we absorb higher interest rates across the next year. Those housing starts that were down, what, what were they, down 5%? Think so, but of course the actual sales were down like 7%, and the market kind of digested that fairly quickly this morning and figured, well, we know houses probably not selling as much as they have been, but not totally going away. It's not the end of the world. It's not 2008, and depending on where you're at, matters a lot. 2753 on the S&P cash. The Nasdaq's absolutely flat as a pancake, which, of course, one of my favorite albums. Maybe our engineer can find that. Head East, flat as a pancake, but saved my life. Of course, growing up, they were a big band around where I lived. But Head East, I actually saw them about 10 years ago. They're still touring as one-hit wonders. I think maybe they had 2 hits, but some interesting songs. So we're watching this, and again, options expiration can make a liar out of anybody going into the end of the day, but we'll see how much it does. The real nice thing is if you can catch them right, there's a lot of money to be made in a very short amount of time, but it takes I'd say I probably looked at it for a year in 2002 through 2002 and 2003 before I ever started actually trading them. And maybe gave up a little money for it, but probably had my head right when the time came. But always very interesting to watch these stocks. Okay, Cuervo, which spiked down to this previous low, but did it on higher volume. Again, we talked about this one, February 1st, having 10.6 million shares at 85.24. This spiked 86.84 on March 12th, but only did so with 1.8 million shares. So 1/5 the volume at the highs. You knew you pretty much have it. Now you got a high volume spike into that low. Now, it wasn't 10 million shares, but it was a lot of a spike, and my guess is that means you get another test of $75 in that one. Let's take a look at Qualcomm. Somebody kind of getting a little nutty about this one. Of course, the deal with Cuervo is probably Avago, is probably off the table, which kind of brings a little of the highs off of this. And again, the question is if you're talking long-term or short-term. I like the long-term story on Qualcomm. The short-term may be continue to be turbulent at the best description of it. Let's take a look at Avago. Again, you can call me at 877-927-6648. But I think I covered most of everything. But here's another one, which is a good example. My power law vector indicator showed 4.5 down for the energy on the down side of this January 5th high. When you got to the February 6th low, we had a 3.1 on the move up. You had a spike with 6.7 million shares on March 13th. So that's probably going to get retested one more time. But you do know this thing is probably going to be weak. And maybe you've already had the high in here. Maybe that was yesterday. But certainly all these stocks look fairly weak to me. When we come back, we'll look at the SMHs.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
You don't buy into that nonsense, do you? You know you can't time the markets. I didn't. And in 2006, I set out on a mission to do just that. I began by surrounding myself with the greats like Tom O'Brien, Larry Pesavento, David White, and Basil Chapman. I read countless books and even looked to the moon and planets for answers. Now, we both know that trading is 80% mental. So I learned the exact tools that Tony Robbins uses to overcome fear. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability. And last March, the folks at Timers Digest began tracking my newsletter signals, which through January 18, 2018, placed me as the #1 gold timer for that exact time frame. Now, I can't officially be recognized until Timers Digest has a full year of signals, but clearly I've learned how to time the markets, and I'd like to teach you how to do that as well. Subscribers to Mastering Probability gain access to my live and archive workshops where I show you the exact same patterns that earned me this #1 ranking. If you're looking for great market calls and an education, sign up for Mastering Probability today at TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
Okay, we're back, getting ready to come up with the last couple of minutes. Tom O'Brien in the next hour. I'll be at the bottom of the hour with him. We'll be talking technology and maybe some stories that were reported this week that people think that are true, because that's the way they were reported. The truth's a little bit different than the headlines, but interestingly in technology, the same. And what else is going on out here? We'll talk about a few of those things, I think, with Tom, but there's some kind of interesting themes that I've been thinking about this week. And one of them is companies that change the idea of what they do when things aren't going so well. And it always seems to be a rather short-lived opportunity. We'll bring that up at 3:30, a handful of other things. And again, of course, maybe nothing happens out here, but the market is set up fairly nicely for one of those last 30-minute runs, and we'll see. But what can you say? Not a lot of volume so far. Not a lot happening. We'll keep an eye on it. Question about the SMHs. Very interesting. This thing broke higher and has done nothing but come down on a lot of volume on the 13th and go sideways for 3 days now. Everything out here looks incredibly brittle to me in the market. And when we look at things like the liquidity in the S&P cash, it's never still returned from those February 1st days when everything blew up. It's still kind of down in the basement. It's gotten a little bit more. It's gotten a little bit better. Each time it gets better, though, the market tends to sell off. And I don't know if that's yet another big clue. Well, anyway, see you at 3:30 for Tom O'Brien. If we don't see you then we'll see you Monday. Same bat channel, same bat time. Remind you to sell what you can. Stop when you have to. And that's it.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.